Hi, this is the authors of Growing Up Aspen have started a second season podcast called MovieChat, where we talk with some of our fellow students in the industry and talk about films and all kinds of fun things. Today we are here with Ben Ball, who is an environmental designer, sculpturist, and has did a little stint with movie set designs and worked on The Matrix. So let's catch up with Ben. It's not so much about that as it is about your opinion of things and what you hit and what you like and don't
Yeah,
like, those kind of things. I don't need the esoteric sort of combination and metaphors and all that stuff. More along just, I mean, I know I saw Rocky Horror at the Playhouse. I don't know if you did as a kid.
I'd seen that when I saw that when I was I saw that years earlier when I was pretty young. My mom took me to it. My mother loves likes to present that as a you know she's very prideful of taking me to see that at a young age. So I didn't see, so I didn't see it there. I saw it when I was living in Iowa.
Oh, okay, cool. So you were really young then.
Yeah, I was pretty young. Yeah, I didn't really understand it. Like I didn't. I mean, I
There's a
could,
lot to be confused about in that movie
Yeah.
for a kid,
totally.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, I looked at I think I watched some of it within the last few years, and it's amazing how well it holds up, A, and B, how how radical it was for its time, and that it really brought out into the open a lot of topics that were just not part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And uh, it and stylistically, it's just the campiness of it is feels like it could have been made, in the last, this season,
Right.
and that's just not. It's crazy because I don't, again, like if I could tell you, go back in time and tell you, look at that period and tell you all of the films that were influenced by it, or films that had, similar kinds of uh there were also sort of campy in that area. I can't do that. I'm not that, my film knowledge is too limited.
Yeah.
But it seems like it drew a lot more influence from theater than it did from film, because it is,
Right.
it was derived from a theater piece, because Lou Adler went to London and he saw it on, and then he got excited. He's like, we need to bring this back to the United States, and he brought it back. They they did it at the Roxy Theater in West Hollywood, and then they took it off Broadway or something, I think. Um, and it got panned,
Yeah.
by critics in America. They didn't quite understand it, but they went ahead and made the film anyway, which
Yeah.
I think is
I, I
amazing.
I feel like it's definitely in its own world, in its own, you know, area because of the kitsch. In other words, it's gonna be a cult classic forever, just as it is, you know.
It might. I think that, like, it looks, to a younger audience, it looks, are they going to be able to see it as a historical, document, or are they just going to see it as, well, I've seen a lot of things like this, like,
Right,
to
right.
today's
Yeah, in today's world, you're right.
somebody. Yeah, I mean, the notion of gender fluidity um is not radical, and so does it really stand out uh anymore, in the eyes of somebody who
Right.
was raised in that gender
It
ambiguous
I would
world.
I would feel like those people might, and I'm not sure, but I would feel like those people feel a little bit more relaxed in today's world because of that. Do you know what I mean? In other words, it sort of opened the door for folks to just
Yeah.
be okay with whatever and hey, you're a person, I'm a person, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I think it was like the first, it was the first, or no, again, like that's where I don't know. I mean, I'm not a historian, but like I think it was, at least in terms of pop culture, it was definitely the first like touchstone that I saw that that openly addressed those topics. And of course, it definitely prepared me for things that I saw later in my youth, that some of my friends maybe who weren't introduced to that kind of film or weren't so receptive to some of its themes, they were more surprised by.
right.
They got older. So yeah.
I felt like growing up in Aspen, we were thrust upon a lot of stuff, you know, and so growing up for us
Yeah.
was a little different.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Gay ski week. Yeah, my mom used to tell us, don't go downtown. It's like it's gay ski
Totally.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like that would be threatening,
Yeah,
is now
Right.
sort of
Right.
laughable, right? Like,
Oops,
so
watch
you,
out.
Exactly.
yeah,
Oh no. These people want to go skiing? Oh my
You're
gosh.
yeah,
gonna bump into gay and you're gonna turn gay. Watch out. It's
yeah.
like, come on.
I mean, my father was really homophobic in a way that was, I wouldn't s- that was kind of upsetting to me, because I remember one time I got in Aspen, I got arrested for drinking at a at a at a football game in Glenwood Springs, and I had to do this community service, and so I I I could had to find somewhere to do community service, and my sister was doing some community oriented something out of that church that's down kind of behind the Jerome Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about the big one?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's up
um,
just above. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a little west, and a little north.
Mhm.
Um, that anyway. So she introduced me to this guy who was like kind of like their um caretaker. I can't remember what his role was, but he was openly gay, and my father had like a real problem with that. He thought I was going to get like molested or something. When I told him that, I ended up writing like my college entrance essay about that experience, and about like how it opened my eyes to the kind of some of the narrowness by which I was raised, compared to
Right.
how I saw the world. And but I never thought I'd recount that story, but you guys brought it back for me.
Well, and it all came from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for listening. The authors of Growing Up Aspen would like to thank you, and would like to also thank the Aspen Times and the Aspen Daily News for giving us materials for our book, Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised, which you can get at twistandturnpress.com and any local bookstore. Thanks.